Welcome to the Three Body Narrative. We are your hosts, Pradyum, Aaron, and Naeem. And while we may not agree on every review, every rating that we give our movies, I think there's one thing that we can all agree on is that we love a little bit of beef. Yes, we do love a little bit of beef. And for that reason, we are here to discuss, rate, review, and dissect Beef Season 2. So, what is this season all about? Well, it follows two couples from very different social classes getting entangled in an escalating feud after a tense encounter, sparking a conflict that escalates into a messy struggle over power, money, and control. So, we will start with our ratings for this season. Who wants to have the first slice of beef?
Did we also mention that what beef exactly is? Like what kind of series? It's an anthology series and
Yeah.
it's not
Okay. So,
connected.
I mean, we didn't really have to review season one because it had nothing to do with season two.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yes.
it became very easy for us to do that and get into season two. But yes, Naeem, you love little bit of beef.
Okay. So this series,
A little bit?
I think I hadn't. I mean, I think the first season when it came out, which was a few years ago, I'd heard about it, but again, not enough to kind of jump into it. Even though it was supposed, like in hindsight, it was apparently like a bigger thing than this particular season. Um, so I was coming into this fairly not having an idea of what it was about at all. I don't even think I would have watched the trailer. I'm not quite sure if we did at any point, but
No, we didn't.
I honestly couldn't recall anything, and I didn't even know that Oscar Isaac was in it until like I kind of started like I think just a week or week and a half ago. You kind of started hearing the buzz about
Okay.
this season, and I was like, okay, I got to check out who's there in this. And then I saw Oscar Isaac, and I was like, whoa, okay, cool. Probably have to check this out. And then immediately after, Brad's kind of suggested like, oh, this is one series that we kind of have to like watch and review. So, like I said, going into this, no idea about it. Most of the cast, I leaving out the main two, leaving like Carrie and Carrie, right?
Yeah. Carrie Mulligan and Oscar Isaac.
Yeah. Leaving these two out, I don't think the others I've seen seen of much anywhere else. Even Kaylee, if I'm pronouncing it right, I think I've only seen her in Dead Man Walking or whatever.
Yeah.
Dead Man.
Wake Up Dead Man. Dead Man Walking is
yeah.
the sequel to that. When he wakes up, then he walks.
Wake Up Dead Man, yes. Yeah. But I'd heard good things about her. Hadn't seen her in anything else until now. But yeah, having watched this, like I've liked Oscar in most of the things that I've watched so far, including the Oscar entry. I think it was an Oscar entry, right? I don't know if it was or not. The Beast thing recently.
Which?
The movie we watched. Frankenstein, yeah.
Yeah. He didn't. I don't think he was nominated, but yeah.
No, not him. But yeah, I mean, like it was running for the Oscars. Yeah. Like I mean, generally from Star Wars to other things, I've not watched Moon Knight yet, but again, like I've kept it on my watch list for the longest time. Getting to the point, like I think this was one of the better roles I've seen him in so far. Like I really like his acting in this. I genuinely enjoyed the series for what it brings to the table. The pacing is slow burn. I definitely have to, but I think there's enough tension in there which keeps building slowly and steadily, which kind of keeps you like wanting to come back to it and not like close the TV and just like hit the bed kind of a thing. There were nights where I was like, oh man, I wish I could just watch another episode before I kind of, called it a night kind of a thing. So from the storytelling, the way it all comes together. The tone of the series and the acting across the board, right? Like all the characters, whether it is the ones I've already known or even the likes of Kaylee, like really her acting in this series is phenomenal according to me. And like if it wasn't for the pacing, I could have probably rated it a 5 too, but I did see pacing was an issue at times. But I thoroughly enjoyed this series. So for me, this is a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay. All right. I mean,
Wow.
interesting. Okay. I did not expect that. That's truly shocking. Okay. Aaron?
Well, I'm going to get to the rating straight because I can't have it end with a 4.5 straight after that. So I'm going to give this a 2. Um,
Wow. Okay.
what I liked about the series was the acting. That I will agree with Naeem. For the most part, the acting was really good. One scene that I found really hilarious and which was terrible acting was when Eunice came to Austin's place and she cried. That felt so weird. I was like, is it meant to be so bad? But yeah. Uh, but yeah, across the board, the acting was really good. I liked a lot of the character development was pretty interesting also. Think that was nice. What I didn't like about the movie was, I think, like Nai mentioned, was it did get a little bit slow in various parts, and then you felt like, something needed to be added there, or you felt like something was missing. And I think what really kind of killed it for me was towards the end how the whole series kind of tried to tie up, I think, loose ends or tried to kind of find the ending. It felt a very rushed thing to me because once I think I reached episode 6 and I knew like, okay, there's only 2 more episodes to go. And I was like, how are they going to end this? Like, I don't really see this. And like, I think by episode 7, they were in Korea. I was like, wait, what's happening here? And like, I feel like there was so much more that needed to be done to kind of give the whole situation and the story some sort of depth and kind of importance to it. It kind of fell flat for me over there. And then it made the ending a little underwhelming because it felt like they were building to something big and then it just went like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was kind of a disappointment to me, which is the major reason why my rating is so low. Like I can't fault the acting, but I felt like the story kind of disappointed in the end.
Well, I kind of agree with both of you on certain points. Okay. Now, uh, unlike the two of you, I've watched season 1 and I and so my rating and my arguments are kind of also going to be slightly based out of how good season 1 was, right? And so if I was rating season 1, I'd give that a 4.5 out of 5. That for me was one of the best, you know, television anthology shows or whatever or seasons that I've seen. Hilarious, like harrowing, um, like downright disgusting at times. Right now, here I think I agree. I love the acting. I love the tension that it built for most part of it. Okay, I was like intrigued to see where things were going to head to. For me, I loved it most when it was just the beef between Josh and Lindsay and Ashley and Austin. I mean, those two bickering and trying to better each other, one up each other was the highlight for me for this season. Just because the acting was great, the tensions were building were great. Each one blackmailing each other and trying to, like I said, one up each other was hilarious and also fun. Uh, what I did not like is the Korea angle to that. I did not see the need for it, and I think Aaron, I agree with you. There's like I think they could only do the couple arguing for that long. So it probably was maybe good for 4 episodes, but they were like, how can I extend this and make this a little bigger? And I think that's the case with a lot of these shows, is that they have success in the first season, and it's like, how do I make the second season great or even better? It's like,
Bigger.
let me go bigger. It's something similar to like Stranger Things also, where when you had this sort of homely feeling maybe in season 1 and 2, and then it just became a huge phenomenon, right? And it starts to become bigger. And some cases it pulls it off well. In certain cases, and especially in this one, I did not really like it. And I think the fact that you had such a powerful character in Chairwoman Park just made everything feel like, yeah, you just can't trust anything, because everything you do, she's just going to probably kill them and do whatever it is, right? So for me, I'd give this a I think I'll give this a 3 out of 5. I was contemplating to give this a 3.5, but I'd probably be like 3. Okay, maybe. Yeah, I'd probably give it a 3. The other 0.5 going because they killed Burberry. Okay, like, you do not do that to a dog. Yes, they found another Burberry, but that's still not right. So yeah, I'd give this a 3. I think the more I think about it, the ending does not land for me thoroughly. As much as I like the ending of how each character is, and we'll discuss that later. But it's just that how you got to that the Korea part just being 1.5, when you kind of have been hinting at all the sort of Korea product and the issue that's happened at the surgery and all of that, you've been hinting at it. The fact that it gets resolved very quickly, yeah, for me, it just didn't work quite well. As much as I did love the plane episode, right? That was for me one of the most hilarious episodes, because you had all of this tension just built into this sort of steel vehicle that you couldn't escape.
Yeah.
And I think I love that. So for me, a 3 out of 5. Still a good season, nowhere close to to season 1, but built predominantly on acting. I think acting, and as well as some sort of character development across the board. Um, so now that we're done with our ratings, and this is great because we're probably going to have a lot of beef given the differences that we had in the ratings. Let's probably get to talking about the character development, right? Because this is a show we're able to discuss about whether, see, in the case of movies, you can say that, oh, you only had 1.5 hours, you don't get to see that. I wish it was a series. Here we got the series, right? So in a TV show which has got 8 episodes, you should be able to see some sort of good characters being fleshed out and built. What did you guys think about the character development, and which characters for you truly shone throughout the 8 episodes, and which characters did you feel maybe we could have had a little more time with them?
Well, for me, I think Josh's character, I think you can see the arc probably be a bit more sort of well rounded, because you see him initially being this whole workaholic kind of type. And I think in certain things he comes across maybe not as pleasant to his colleagues or those that work under him. But initially, it gave the impression that it was just about work and nothing else. But they did hint at some trouble with his spouse. And as time grew on, and as you can see, I think in terms of him trying to rectify things at home, then stuff went out of balance at work, and then whatever through the storyline you see how that escalates. But like, you kind of see him still being someone who didn't want to hurt others to kind of get to where he wanted to, but then situations kind of pushed him to that. And then in the end, then you can see again the whole maybe self-sacrifice or being the martyr to kind of protect the one that he loved, and that sort of thing, just to resolve it. But also, I think in many ways, also throughout the whole series, you kind of saw how he just wanted out of the bad situation. And so in the end, that's what he did. He's just like, you know what, I'm going to confess and just put an end to all of this. Like, no more running away from the situation which I guess he was kind of faulted for when he used to do that and just run to work. I think they hinted at it for his mother's death, and then
Mm.
whenever there was an argument at home. So I guess that that was the one which I kind of appreciated the most. That sort of character development. The one which I felt was kind of fairly obvious and not much happened apart from just those characteristics coming out a little bit more was Ashley's. Uh, I think in hindsight, once you watch the entirety of the series, you kind of look back and see that a lot of the actions that she did was as Austin then later explained it was more like, a fear of abandonment and just wanting to be like uh, I won't say wanted attention, but wanted to be significant to the people that were around her. You can see, I think, a couple of calls with the dad where she felt quite neglected. That was one. And then, like, in initially the initial episodes, it kind of felt lovey-dovey. But if you look at now the whole series, then you kind of see, like, how she wants to do everything with Austin. Like, even when it was just about handing over the wallet, you're like, no, I want to come with you. And I mean, it was just a couple of steps outside the car and stuff like that. When you're like, I mean, when you watched it as it was happening, you were like, oh, okay, cool. They're like super close and stuff like that way. But then, as it's explained later on, and you see her sort of developing through the movie, you're like, oh, stalker vibes. But yeah, that was quite an interesting one. Austin was a bit weird for me, only because I think, like we mentioned before we did this podcast, like the way it ended and his choice at the end, that was so weird, and you didn't really see that coming. And
Mm.
yeah, the whole him smiling like a jackass to then eventually the smile fading off his face. You're like, what the heck was that? But yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Uh,
my
hmm.
take on the characters.
Interesting. Okay. Yes, Naeem, you
Hmm.
have things to say.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the same. Josh for me was the standout, like
Yeah.
I mentioned right at the start, right? Like his character growth in this, from the darkest of darkness you see in terms of embezzlement and everything shady he does at work, plus the thing where she's really in need in terms of healthcare and the kind of response, how he tries to turn that into uh, a power dynamics thing where she kind of gives him what he needs before he can give her what she needs, kind of a thing. That's there, but also the slight silver lining there in the sense that even though it's delayed, even without her giving what he wanted, he still sends that person,
Yeah.
even though it's late. It kind of shows that deep down there is good in him, kind of a thing, right? And to the point where the show, I think it is by default that this happens. You're rooting for him, even though I was rooting for him, even though
Yeah.
I was fucked up in the sense that um, like the things that he was did with his mother's account as well, right? Like they
Mm.
were overdrafts or whatever and stuff, and plus the embezzlement in itself, how he went about all of that, um, to kind of what do you say, with the other things that he was doing, especially in his choice to when he survives the assassination attempt or whatever you want to call it. uh,
Assassination
and
attempt. That is
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I don't think there's anything.
The the choice to then go into hiding or going to try and save Lindsay, right?
Yeah.
uh,
Lindsay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
who's already, like, by that time they're already like apart, right? They're
Yeah.
basically divorced, and yet choosing to kind of go help her out. That shows like this thing, and that's where the dilemma comes for me with that character, where I know he's done things wrong, but I can't stop myself from rooting for him and trying to figure out ways in which he could hopefully survive this thing. But at the end, what happens is basically he accepts his this thing, right? Like what he's getting is for whatever he's done, and I think he kind of accepts that and decides to move on. And I also like the concept of when he gets out, she's not there,
Hmm.
and yet he's made his peace with it, kind of a thing. Like it doesn't become negative again in terms of like, oh, we kind of
I have to go
she
find
promised
her.
to wait,
I will find her.
promised to wait, yeah, whatever, shit like that, and he stuck to it in terms of, okay, cool, like we tried and stuff, like I gave it my best, it didn't work out, fair enough, now it's time for me to kind of hopefully build a new feature or whatever. So yeah, definitely in terms of character development, he was the standout for me. But in terms of like acting and the kind of spite you see, my girl, the girl can act, and my god, the girl can act, and I think I said my girl, the girl can act. No, yeah, my
My
god, the girl
girl.
can act.
Kaylee is my girl. Yeah.
So Ashley, right?
Yeah.
Kaylee's character,
Yeah.
Ashley. Uh, that plane scene, insane for sure, absolutely. But even before that, the bits and pieces, and Aaron mentioned this, where you see the stalker thing kind of happen over time, and that part where she kind of like, "Can I get your phone?" Like I have to do the check or whatever. Oh my god, insane! Like I was like, dude, that is
Trust
some next
issues.
level shit. Yeah, and I think you kind of see bits and pieces of that in after the first episode itself. Like
Hmm.
initially, you think she's like a really nice girl, and like very innocent, and like she just wants to. The life's not been easy for her,
Yeah.
which it's not been easy for her. But the way she's chosen to deal with it is quite negative in a lot of aspects. And you see that like at some point she starts blaming everything on everyone else around her as opposed to trying to make things better for herself, and that's where it spirals completely out of control. uh, but in terms of her acting, like damn, and like I was like, oh god, it feels like this is a real person of sorts, like who's not had control, who's had issues in their life, and like early on, and that's kind of reflecting as they have grown up into their adult life, and how they deal with relationships, their professional life, etc., etc. So I really like that. Leaving that out, I think the only point I don't agree with completely is like, yeah, I think Austin's arc was rushed, but I do feel you kind of there are hints to it in terms of Austin is shown out to be this guy who, for the most part, is not really a part of the beef. Like even when the beef
Yeah.
is going on, he's
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
actively partaking in all of that stuff, right? And I think I, as a person in that instance, I'm supposed to take him as a person like, oh, he's a good person. Like he's not. But I think in general, he's just a guy who doesn't try to get into situations where it's not to do with him. But ultimately, what you kind of see is that he's also selfish in a lot of ways. And it comes to the forefront with his relationship with Eunice. And like how in his head he's got this very strong relationship going with Eunice, right? Like in the sense that they get along really well, and it's all of, I think, a facade he brings builds in his head where it's like, oh, she's the one.
Yeah.
We've got this rapport, and I think it comes from this thing because the relationship with Ashley he's had has been very rocky,
Yeah.
right? And it's all been about what Ashley wants and what she like, how this survives and stuff like that. Like everything over the
I
years,
mean,
it's
even
kind of,
even during that entire negotiation scene where they film Josh and this thing, like she cuts a deal for herself. There's no
yeah,
thought whatsoever about
yeah.
Josh.
And in
Is
that moment, right after,
Yeah.
you also see the point where he feels like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was let down, kind of a thing, right? They do mention that, but you also see that he at that point is also overlooking the fact that she was trying to strike the deal because of the health issue she had, and suddenly his lack of deal became the more focused thing. So in that, I saw the chinks in the armor in the sense that, like, if it is a really nice guy in that moment, at least maybe months later or something, you kind of bring it up, like you say, when that time happened and stuff like that. I couldn't believe you kind of didn't negotiate for me as well. but I didn't bring it up at that time because your health was the issue and things like that. So I kind of understood, but hey, I thought that was like, like I felt very weird in the way, or how things were just like focused on it. So I think in those bits I saw his, I won't say selfishness per se, but like trying to prioritize his interest as well.
Yeah,
And
but don't you think that's fair? I mean, given that he's
it is
yeah,
absolutely right. And at the end, like as things progress, kind of a thing, his sudden chemistry with Eunice, and his this thing of, oh no, I'm done with this one. This is not what I want. This is what I want, kind of a thing, because it's easygoing. It's whereas Eunice is most likely just like in
yeah.
the
I,
fling
I mean,
mode or
Eunice is
something.
just like I don't want to die. I'm like Chairwoman Park knows that I've
Yeah,
got the phone. I don't want to die. I'll just tell this guy whatever he wants. I'm sure after this, like we'll discuss it and whatever's happened.
yeah,
But like the
yeah.
main thing is, and I like that part where she's in the plane seat and she looks around and sees other Korean people staring at her, and she's like,
I
oh
know. It feels like everyone is conspiring against her, kind of a thing. Yeah. But to that point, like I feel like in that moment where he has that conversation with Eunice,
yeah,
uh, and when there is reluctance on her part to give him what he wants, he's like, wait, this is not what I want. Now, what, like in that few moments after that, he already envisions what's gonna happen, right? He's gonna give that to the cops, two potential outcomes. He's hoping for the better one, where
yeah,
it's like cops get hold of the chairwoman and everything ends and stuff. They go back to normal life. Now, is normal life okay? Like, does that give him what he really wants? Because the job he had, everything goes away, technically, right?
yeah,
Um, and he's not even. I probably gonna get the girl, because from the conversation he's having, it doesn't seem like that's gonna happen. And I think that's what flips him, in the sense that it hits him that if I do the right thing in terms of handing this over, I don't get the outcome that I want. And forget about the professional aspect of it. Even my personal life aspect of it goes, I lose the girl I have. I don't get the girl I want. And the job, the cushion I have also goes away, kind of a thing. So in that moment, his utmost real self comes out, and he makes that split
yeah.
moment decision, going and handing it off. So I think there are bits and pieces given. It's not in the forefront, because you do come in. I think you do come across people in life who, at the outset, seem like very amazing people and all of that stuff, but deep down, they're not as good as they kind of make it out to be, kind of thing. And I think that's what um, Austin's character was there to play. So I did think his character was good enough as well. But yeah, I agree with you guys in terms of the soul. The Korea act
Mm.
is kind of rushed, and uh, to that point, I'm like, I mean, having heard your arguments, I would have probably pegged it down by, again, like I absolutely love this show,
Fair.
and
You
it's
don't
one of
have to.
those.
I mean, it's your
No,
yeah.
no, I'm just saying, like
But yeah, you'd
keeping
put it
all of
as
that
four.
in mind, I'd put it probably at 4. But again, like I had such a good time with this show, like definitely one that I would recommend to everyone. And yeah, these are the 3 main characters. I kind of like, and you mentioned like which is the one character we didn't spend enough time with. I think you do see bits and pieces of the Doctor, and in terms of his
Yeah.
issues that he's having, kind of a thing, but you can't get a good enough read in terms of the person he is. Yeah, Tremors.
He
uh,
wouldn't last in which one was that there I'm going now to Bollywood, but there was that Bollywood movie where the doctor where I think it was it Munna Bhai or was it something else where they talk about the hand being very steady for doctors?
Munna Bhai, probably,
Is it that or is it
maybe.
Three Idiots? One of the two has a very thing where doctors' hands are very steady. And then the enders, and both I think are played by Boman Irani only, I think. But both of them have that thing of, and then they show the hand being stable.
I think it's at the end, right? Like for
Some
3 years, where he has to help with his daughter's this
I
thing or
think
something, and he
when they're
freezes.
doing the thing of the cadaver, I think they dissecting in Munnaba, and he says that a surgeon's hand should be very
Great.
Should be very
Steady.
whatever
Yeah.
steady and stuff, because he wants Sanjay Dutt's character to do the dissection to kind of prove that he's a doctor and stuff like that. And I think he becomes queasy and all that. So I think that's where it happens, if I
And
remember
then at
correctly.
the end he gets a bit queasy about things. I don't have no clue, but there is something to do with that. I can't believe I brought it up, but yes, when you showed the hand, I was like, yeah, that kind of reminded me of one of those films. But I know it's uh, this guy who plays the doctor or whatever. But yeah, yeah, that's hilarious. That's the guy from Parasite, isn't it? The father, if I'm not mistaken. You know
No idea.
so you know Parasite,
Oh,
the
the
doctor. The
doctor.
doctor plays
Yeah, 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 yeah.
he is, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's where I remember. I mean, I only know two things from Korea. It's either Squid Games or it is Parasite. So I like, if those characters don't.
Train to Busan, man. How can you not know
The
Train
old,
to
yeah.
Busan?
I mean, I haven't watched that, but
Oh wait, you're not into horror and zombie and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
right?
So there's a lot of horror stuff that I haven't gotten into, but yeah, okay. But I agree. The doctor's someone that I love that part where the doctor's explaining to them in
In
Korean, in
Korean.
fluent Korean, and this dude is just like, oh, so I understood this and I understood this, and I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
expected.
I was talking to Az about that. I was like, I don't think he's getting a word of this. It's like, but he speaks to his mom in Korean, and I'm like, are you sure? I remember him speaking in English. I don't think that happened. I don't think he's getting this. Like, yeah, no,
He,
no, no.
I think in every point in the season, whenever they brought up that he is Korean, he looks the most flustered and the most like
Dude,
doubt. Like
the
there's a
part
doubt
where
button. Press X for
she
doubt there.
mentioned her friends say that she looks like Kim Jong Un, and the guy said, "Oh, the guy from BTS, I love his solo," and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Uh,
It was, and I think every time, even at the dinner table, when they're with Chairwoman Park and she's talking to, like, she's speaking a little bit of Korean to him or whatever, he just says, "Oh, yeah," like that, just like yes, and that's about it. That's all he knows. So yeah, I like that. I think for me, the one person who, I mean, I get all of your arguments, and I mean, with Josh, I agree. I think even with Ashley, yeah, like you. She's the most innocent looking person, the most charming looking person, but my God, like the character, the sort of selfishness, and the kind of character like, oh, can you get me this? Oh, can you do this for me? Oh, I'm doing this for myself. And I think that she gets a taste of the sort of executive life. And then, from then on, it's like, oh, I want my life to just be like this. And I mean, you talk about the innocence. It's so innocent when she's sitting in business class and she asks, oh, is this free? It's like, I want all of the desserts. But then you see that little bit of a arrogant side where she's like, I asked for a cookie. I asked for a soft chocolate chip cookie. You didn't give that. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. But also the plane scene, I love the part where she shakes
even
Lindsay's chair and she's like, oh, it's turbulence. Like, do you feel the
but
turbulence?
even the drink scene, right? Like where she asks for a
For
drink, like
specifics, yeah.
Lindsay, and
Sprite,
she says like
yeah.
this, but not this, that, and stuff like that. And then eventually
If
she
not
gets a
Sprite,
very
orange juice or something like that. Yeah.
interesting drink
Oh,
to
that
Hmm.
is,
sip
that was,
down on. Oh
I mean,
my god!
both drinks were
And
disgusting.
oh,
What do business
dude,
class
the
people do
orange
in the
juice.
toilets Friday? Like, what the
The
Yeah.
orange juice scene was like, oh my god! And when he kept the glass
Oh,
down, I
yeah.
knew it. I knew he's gonna drink from the jug. Shit! I was like, oh man, shit, that is insane. I
So,
can't look at orange juice the
so I
same
think
again.
that's some commonality that it has with season one, which is there is some amount of pee related.
Yo, don't
No, no, no.
spoil.
I'm
I
not. I'm
don't
just
watch.
saying. I'm not saying what it is, but there is an element of disgust in both seasons, And
Yeah,
it's
now see, now I'm expecting something like that going in. I would have liked to go in
yeah,
without
okay,
any.
fine. You don't know in what shape or form it's happening. But I'm just saying there is an element of disgust in both. So that was great. But I think with Lindsay's character felt, I wouldn't say one dimensional, but I mean you there wasn't like a lot of like range there. I mean, there's obviously that envy with how her friends, look or are young and they're good looking. They're living a much more luxurious life. Her projects, which is I think she's supposed to be designing the interiors for the club, are immediately shot down. Her husband isn't supportive enough. Her husband's in debt, and I just think that I also don't. I mean,
He spent her money on his
and
mother.
yeah, all of that, and also I understand that whole thing of like, I mean, fine, she's obviously flirting with the idea of either having an affair with Whoosh, crazy name, and you also the other, her ex, I suppose,
Desmond.
Desmond. So Desmond isn't the guy who she marries at the end, right? I'm just like, because at some point that profile looked similar, but I don't think that is.
No, that I don't think, because Desmond looked younger in those pictures. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think,
Maybe waiting for her, he got old, or he faked.
Hmm.
If she didn't
8
know him
years later,
personally,
so
then
who knows?
no, but
faked the.
I think she did. Weren't there like memories of them being together at one point? I think they were.
Yeah, because the first time she Google searches him, it's pictures of the two of them together. And then the second time when she's in that ridiculous mask of hers, then it's like Desmond with a new woman or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So also this whole thing of trying to look younger and all of that, I don't think her heart was truly set in it. It just felt like, I'll just go for the ride, and I don't even know if she's going to go through with it. But yeah, with her, I mean, as much as I love Carrie Mulligan and love the the acting part of it, the character felt like normal, like everyone else felt like they had some sort of nuance and some sort of history, and this one, I suppose, felt the least uh interesting in a way.
I think if you put too many characters with a lot of issues or a
Yeah.
lot of this thing, then it gets too much. I think it just makes sense. Like she had her things that were holding her back, and she felt like a lot of it was down to her husband rather than herself.
Yeah.
The issues he had put them into, as opposed to what, like, being in it together kind of a thing. um and I think the rest of it is quite normal in terms of people who've been a certain way growing up and stuff like that, probably, and like losing control of everything that was good, and how that makes you feel kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And you do see bits and pieces of, I mean, not bits and pieces, you see a lot in terms of her controlling a lot of situations. You see that with Wush. You see that with even the way she's kind of dealing with Kaylee, Ashley's character, and even with her husband, in the way she tells him to do some things and stuff like that. um, it's I think it's kind of like there that she is controlling, and that's her personality type kind of a thing, and she does not like not being in control of sorts. um
Yeah.
I think that's like a more milder version, and then
Hmm.
with the chat woman you see the more blown out of proportions of that version, in a lot of other ways
Of
kind of a thing.
control, of like having to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
full
Of having
control.
incomplete control of what's happening, of the situation and stuff like that, and someone who's kind of strengthened themselves to deal with situations like that and stuff. So, like, she's
Yeah.
kind of learned from her first marriage and um, tried to avoid that situation, or like being in that kind of a place, and like generally being in a shell of her own where no one can kind of hurt her of sorts.
But yeah, you also talk about, I mean, I think with Lindsay, it's like she wants to become somewhat of a chairwoman park where, she life is in her hands. She takes full control. She's able to make decisions, and she aspires to be someone like that. Whereas Chairwoman Park is that person where she's like, she knows how to play the game. So I think both of them are. I mean, Lindsay is quintessentially British with that sass, right, and that sort of opinionated, uh, sarcastic way of life. Where anything that she comments, it feels like she's just making fun of it, fun of you. But like she thinks she's, or I mean, she aspires to be a lot more nuanced. Whereas Chairwoman Park, I love the way she's playing games with everyone. Like the moment she comes in, you think that she's only speaking Korean. She's got the translator, but she
Chairwoman, you speak English. Yes.
only you know, only yeah. So I love that she's playing games with everyone, and yeah, I think even with Eunice, I think there is an element of like, I know I have the upper hand. Like there's no way you're getting the better of me. Right. And you have this thing of, oh, they're trying to get the chip and they'll try and outsmart the chairwoman, but you kind of know, and like there's no way. The moment you went to Korea, you basically signed your sort of not death warrant, but there's no plan of escape freely. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing that Oscar Isaac can like just exit the Seoul airport, and he just randomly wants to get into this random large van. He could have gone anywhere. He could have gone to the bus stand. He could have gone anywhere, but he just goes straight to this one.
He's not thinking straight. No, he's in a
The most
hurry.
suspicious looking vehicle, let's go.
Yeah, he's like, what's the least suspicious thing? It is the most suspicious thing. So yeah, okay. So we get to talking about. I mean, let's talk about this Korean mafia thing, okay? Because this obviously is the more grander scheme of this season, right? Like you have the very. I mean, if you call the battling or the beef between the two couples like micro, this is the more macro story that being told, and there is a bigger story in play, which is this whole debacle that's happened at the surgery, and this whole Chairwoman Park having basically running Korea, or at least Seoul. Right? Like, what did you make of it?
I found it fun, man. Like it was like quite something. It's like you said, like it gets really big really soon and stuff. And I don't have the first season to compare it to, but of what it was, I just love how it's like you've got these different classes that you're like kind of seeing. You've got the Austin and Ashley in terms of the start of their lives together, kind of a thing, trying to build a career, get things in place financially. Then you've got a middle-aged couple in terms of Josh and Kaylee's. What's her name? Lindsay. Yeah, Lindsay's character. Lindsay, right? Lindsay. Whatever.
Lindsay.
They're this thing in terms of like being in a much better place than Austin and Ashley, but still having their own shit to deal with. And like while it looks great from the outside, that's just a facade. There are a lot of issues brewing under all of that and stuff. And then you've got the chairwoman's arc in terms
Yeah.
of been there, done that with the first marriage, a lot of issues and stuff like that. She's figured out what she wants, what she doesn't want, and then she's gone on to build her own empire from all of the experience she's got, kind of a thing, right? So I really liked that whole thing, and I loved how blown out of proportions it was in terms of she's this next level person who kind of like has way too much power in her
Yeah.
hand. You don't know when, where, who is gonna come get you because you've gotten on the wrong side of the chairwoman, kind of a thing, right? And it's initially it's not very clear in terms of how much power we're talking, but then like once the whole hush hush thing flows in terms of the death of the patient and how she kind of has multiple people, once kept quiet, and then secondly like anyone who is not
Yeah.
getting along, kind of.
Tell me one thing. How did Austin, when he escaped with the chip, how did he get off that building?
Yeah, and not a great security in terms
Yeah,
of.
I mean, you've got the whole mafia and everything, but you just basically don't have any CCTV camera outside. Or
Mm,
did Chairwoman Park know that he will come back and he's like, "You
yeah,
let me go. I
no,
have
I
got
don't
it
think
covered. I
he
don't need
planned.
the yeah."
I think it's just maybe I don't see it from a character perspective, but I think in this case, maybe she kind of just underestimates on what their actual capability is like, and she's like, they're there, they're not getting away anywhere, kind of a thing. So
Mm.
that's all we need, kind of a thing, and then it kind of spirals out from there as well. Again, like that one is not in character because I do feel like chairwoman would be someone who like wants something dealt with and she wants it dealt with the right way. So she
Yeah.
kind of put all the resources in place.
And she's not afraid to break a few eggs. Eggs being one is her husband and the second being Bush.
Mhm.
Both of them cracked open quite easily.
Which is kind of weird, right? She was okay killing off her own people, but she wanted these guys alive. Like, I mean, you silence them and your problem is solved,
I
right?
mean,
I mean,
I guess to like they were a bigger liability than these people were.
International this thing, right? I think the government would there would be some sort of implications to it. I don't know.
But Aaron, you and I were discussing this before we started this about how like you thought this whole Korea thing was an easy way to cover certain plot holes and stuff like that. Like, what did you think it covered?
well, one was like, I mean, the whole it. So, like, you wanted the whole thing of him embezzling money and the whole thing of sending money to the clinic or the clinic sending to the club to kind of whatever filter all that money. And so once you brought these guys over to Korea, then you could have you just kind of swept that whole thing under the carpet where because there was supposed to be a police investigation and stuff like that way. And so the police are investigating the murder that happened at the clinic
Hmm.
and all this kind of stuff, which was again a clinic which is run by Chairwoman Park's husband, owned
Yeah.
by Chairwoman Park, and yet is like everything just gets put on Josh, and like I didn't get how it's like everything is clean sailing after that. Like, I mean, okay, you could always be that you confess under duress, especially that the, all of them were suddenly happened to be in Korea and stuff like that way. So I felt like that was a very easy kind of scapegoatish sort of way to pin everything on Josh. I didn't kind of get the whole thing how that happened, but maybe it was because he had signed off on everything. Maybe that explains it away. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I just felt like there were so many interests in details and stuff like that way that you had with the signing of invoices and things like that way, which you could have made it so much more better. I just felt like the whole thing of just essentially kidnapping them and then having them to just say, okay, yeah, I've done it, kind of was a weird way to go about it. And then that whole fight scene in the clinic, was like, yeah, I mean, it was so weird that supposedly henchmen who are trained in combat was able to be stumped by three bumbling fools, and then they end up cutting Ava also in between. Like, what the heck? But that it would have been cool if they had Ava at the end with like one big slash in her face or something like that. I would have liked that. And then Troy being like, oh, what happened to you? But no, man, that's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Um Fair. Okay. Yeah, I did. Yeah, you're right. I think like given that all of this happened, I mean, but they're powerful enough. But yeah, you're saying that the powerfulness or the sort of stature that they have is an easy way to explain that they have control over, the police and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
but because they said they didn't, I mean, they kind of hinted at not having control over the police, right? When they were at
Mhm.
the golf course and Dr. Kim was hitting more grass than anything else. But when they were there and Park and whoever that chief counsel or whatever they were calling him were discussing, and they said like they've paid off everyone, but the police are still questioning. So it kind of hinted at them not having so much control over the police, and there it showed like the police didn't care about the fact that uh, whoever they bribed and stuff were not saying anything, right? So they still wanted to go through the whole investigative process. So I would think like, wouldn't that be the same like when you have this guy who is suddenly come to Korea and is in captivity or in the facility of this so powerful woman or whatever, and then just suddenly happens to confess, you would be like, why?
Hmm.
At least it should have raised a question. I'm not saying that it's not believable that he confessed, but I found it very easy to be just like, he confessed, case closed.
Yeah,
Let's get on
take
with
take
our
him away. Take
lives.
him away. Let's
Yeah.
yeah, okay, fair. Interesting.
Question though, okay.
Yeah.
At least like when it was ending, I thought that's how it was going. Did they make it out in the way that um he was colluding with the doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So basically, like
Yeah.
it was
It
the
was just
husband
that Dr. Kim and Josh were the two that ran the whole thing.
And
ran the
then
whole thing,
and
and
then
then
Dr. Kim
things went wrong.
didn't want to get captured, so he shot
Yeah,
himself
yeah,
in the head.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, very weird that he did it in a corridor where, I mean, anyone could have stopped him. I mean,
But by the time the police
what a
come,
way.
they'll drag him and put him in his office like that or something.
Because
Yeah.
maybe shot himself because Josh was going to out that he killed a patient by mistake or whatever, something like that. So like, oh
Correct.
no,
So, no, but
my reputation.
that's fine to shoot
Yeah,
himself,
so
fine. But to have
let's save my legacy of not killing a patient, but committing
Killing a patient.
suicide. That does heaps for my legacy. Yes, sure.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
in my head, I'm still like everyone still sees me as a credible doctor, and let's put an end to it here.
yeah. If
Well,
now
No, but then he committed suicide with a confession that he has killed a patient. So what
oh,
good did it do?
it's happening. All everything, all of that is happening after
or
he's
Josh
gone.
or Josh killed him.
Yeah, see,
I
that
mean,
would have been a more
yeah, that's
believable
what
thing. Put him away for
initially.
murder.
Yeah,
Like
initially I
what?
thought that's what's
Come
gonna
on.
happen. That Josh is going to be put away for the murder of the doctor, but yeah, there's quite this thing in terms of suicide kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So we just quickly talk about the ending. And
Or it's like sorry, before you do, sorry, it's like Josh was like the ultimate mastermind, and
uh-huh.
he was the one pressuring the doctor to not accept his this thing in terms of having killed the person by mistake or whatever, and eventually it just got too much for the doctor and he killed himself kind of thing.
Oh, wow, that's a little too much. That's why the
Come on,
Korean
like I
that's why
mean,
the Korean police
someone
department
has to
said
go
okay,
back
okay,
for
he
the
confessed, I'm
season
making
two
this.
director.
Yeah.
I would have just said that Josh figured out that this guy was making him sign invoices, so he came over here, questioned him, things got out of control, killed him. Finished, done.
Yeah.
Like, no.
You can talk to his sister. You're
I,
supposed to go to Cuba or whatever, but he decided to come to Korea. So fair. Okay. Now we talk about the character development. We've spoken about all of this. Let's talk about how each character's story ends in this season, and whether or not they kind of deserve that ending, right? So maybe we start with Josh because we've decided where that's how we know where he's gone. So he's in prison, and he seems to be he seems to have found himself to be the general manager of that prison, right? The way he's walking around supervising the inmates, and it's quite nice to see that he's found his place amongst his peers. But you know,
Yes.
yeah, they're all crooks.
Okay.
He's a crook. We just spoke about him killing Dr. Kim's also. So and embezzling money. But no, but talking about his ending, did you guys think that it was fair the way he had he had his life for whatever his story and for the season, as well as we see Lindsay with a family but also still still kind of
Hung
looking
up
back,
on it. Yeah.
hung up on this. You see Ashley and um, Austin with
Austin.
their I think it's 8 years since then, because it's a pretty large kid.
Yeah.
It's an 8-year-old kid being now the general managers of the golf club. Surprisingly, we don't get to see much about Eunice, so we don't know what's happened to her. Um, anything's possible, and we don't know with Chairman Park as well. Like, I'm guessing she's just gone back to running her business, or I'm guessing she's still, considering she owns the golf club, I think she gives them the promotion, right, and lets them run.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that continues. So where do you guys stand on which was the most satisfying ending? Which was the one that you're like, I don't think they deserve this?
I think
So
Josh
in
is.
terms of satisfying, oh, go ahead.
I think Josh's journey was the one that's like full circle in terms of every mistake that he kind of commits and all of that, and the life he's kind of had, and like Aaron mentioned, he's like kind of running from it for the most part of it, and eventually coming to this thing of, okay, I have to accept uh, the repercussions of everything that's happened, and things like that, and for me to be able to build a better future at some point, I just have to kind of be okay with all of this. And I think he accepts for everything that he's done wrong. I mean, he does, like, in the sense that there is a clear cut option where he could have avoided the situation as a whole, be very selfish and just go to wherever his sister is telling him, asking him to hide. Um, but he chooses not to do that, kind of a thing. And in that whole this thing, it comes full circle that he pays for the crimes he's committed, and then he comes out a new man, wanting to kind of live life on his terms again, in a more fresh start, uh, kind of a thing. And I think that's the best ending there is. In terms of Ashley, I think she gets whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Basically, the life she envisions. She's got complete control of her husband. She's got a kid, and she's got everything that she dreamed of professionally, especially
Yeah.
with the insurance. So she's all sorted out there. Um, I think the worst ending is Austin's, in the sense that even though he thinks he's doing himself a favor by kind of going and handing it out to the chairwoman, the evidence, and thinking he's sorting out his future. While he does that, he puts himself in a not so great personal space, and it's a lot of negativity you kind of see within that short span of things, right? Like, he's not, like, in that moment it felt like a good decision, but in hindsight probably regrets it. He did it out of spite. He did it in that moment of feeling, being like not receiving the answer he wanted from Eunice, and he kind of wanted to gain control of the situation, and he thought that was the best way of dealing with that situation. However, it's not the future he envisioned for himself, and he's clearly not happy with it, kind of a thing. So um does he get what he deserves? I mean, for the shit he does right at the end, yeah, I guess that's the life you deserve. But for the character you see for the most part at the beginning, you kind of wish that it'd be happy, kind of a thing. So from that initial character you see, you'd probably think, no, probably not the best ending he could have had.
Huh.
Would have been happier, even if not Eunice, but like someone else, perhaps,
Yeah.
who, or by himself as well. You don't have to necessarily be with someone. Just be happy in your space, kind of. So that, unfortunate. Yeah, and okay, before we kind of move on to anyone, I wanted to like, I didn't, and this image was very like strong in what it was trying to portray, but you kind of see the chairwoman in the middle, with the grave at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of see the, is that supposed to be like the ant um uh, family system of like whatever they stay and stuff, and like you've got the, is that what it is, and she's like right in the middle as the queen kind of a thing, or what is it signifying? You can
I
get to
think
that
it's
once
like
you
an
guys.
ant farm, I think.
It is an ant farm, is it? Okay, cool.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it depicts society and the classes and each one. And
And
that,
she's a queen.
yeah, I mean, everyone's lives kind of have revolved around this one person, right? Because it is, uh, yeah, but it is what it is. She controls most of their fates.
Hmm. Cool.
Um,
Who did you guys think had a good end or deserved
Aaron?
that end?
Yeah, I think Austin's character got exactly what he deserved. I feel like he was the kind of guy who was non-confrontational or didn't want to kind of get into any sort of beef with anyone, but benefit from others doing that. So completely deserved. For it was almost like um, he was very happy for others to do the dirty work, and so yeah, absolutely love that. I have another theory about the whole Eunice thing. I feel like when she said eventually after him saying I love you twice and she's like I love you too, he's like, oh, mission accomplished. And he was like done with the whole thing or the whole game of that sort of cat and mouse thing, and then went back to the crazy psycho in Ashley. And I just feel like he chose, because of that decision of being choosing comfort and whatever, him knowing how to deal with Ashley's eccentric sort of character and stuff like that. He knew, or he kind of envisioned the benefits that he would get because she would continue to be, or they could kind of proposition or deal with Chairwoman Park and kind of get the benefits of that. I think he kind of chose the easy way out, and so he deserved what he got. Josh's character, I feel like he was the best in terms of acclimatizing to the situation that he was in. He kind of made the best out of a bad situation where, like, he was in prison, but he kind of made friends, acquaintances, whatever. He became the supplier for cigarettes and nail cutters and stuff like that, right, to other inmates. So that was pretty cool to see. But also, it was nice to see that I think, okay, maybe Lindsay would be a close second, but it felt like he was the happiest at the end, regardless of however things turned out. So yeah, I feel like his ending was well deserved. I think Naeem said he paid for his crime, but it felt like he paid for a lot more. He paid for other people's crimes too. But yeah, I think the fact that he did confess already meant that he kind of made peace with the whole situation. And but then it is also nice to see that he kind of saw it through to the end, which was the 8 years, I guess, which was his sentence. Very lenient sentence, if you ask me, for the amount of people that ended up dead. But I mean, if you want to commit a crime, I guess Korea it is. But yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I
yeah,
don't think he is. He's the one who's what do you say, pegged for any of the murders, right? He's basically someone
yeah,
who's
but he covered up a crime or something like that way. I'm not sure. So that makes him, what do you call it? An accessory to murder
accessory.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So
But
And there were a couple of murders that happened
But
there,
you
right?
don't get
So,
too long of this thing of being an accessory to a
Why
murder.
and how would you know?
You
well,
watch
any
enough of
lawyers
those.
that are watching this, please do let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
Was
because we
eight
need this
was 8 years
information, but
very lenient
Lenient.
sentence?
Yeah.
uh,
Did he get off
mm,
early for good behavior?
He deserved the
mm,
leniency
Yeah.
because he was a very nice inmate. Quite like
Um. Yeah.
very
So
friendly.
for me, I think the the person who got the best deal out of everything is um, Ashley. I think she gets a son, she gets a husband, she gets the GM position. The only thing that she doesn't get is the ovary back, right? Nor does she get like any of the Korean facial treatments, I suppose. So that's the only thing. But I guess her life is okay because she controls everything and everyone, and she's able to live the life that she always envisioned. So I guess greed eventually paid off for her. The person or the people who I think who had the worst sort of ending, or yeah, didn't get what I guess, I mean, obviously from Austin's thing, deserved, but yes, gets the worst, the short end of the stick. The other people who I think get the short end of the stick is probably Lindsay's family, husband and daughter, because I think at some point in time she will kind of try and find her way back to Josh. It at least show that there was some sort of yearning there. I hope not. I hope that she's made peace and she understands. I think that will happen, but I've just seen that there were hints at the start, right, where she tried to flirt with the idea of Bush and with her ex Desmond. So I think there will be a point where maybe she does try to do that, but I think Josh
But
will be probably the
here's
better
hoping
man.
Josh
Yeah,
remains stronger
yeah. So
and does not give in.
exactly. So I think that's the case. It's nice to that Josh does get to see the um, we talk about his embezzling issues and all of that, and yes, it is a crime, but I think also it is because of the sort of people that he is around. You see him, I think, with Michael Phelps. He's been forced by Michael Phelps to gamble and loses a lot of money there as well. He talks to Lindsay about the kind of people that he's been hanging out with, but then she clearly puts a stop to it, saying that they're just hanging out because you're the GM and you're the employee and they're the sort of guests, right? But he thinks because of the class of people that he's hanging out with, he thinks he probably deserves a lot more, and I think because of that he buys a lot of cool collectibles which end up being stored in the storage, right? And then he has a hard time selling that, except for, I don't know, his musical talents came out of nowhere. I have no idea where that came from. It would have been nice to maybe have seen both Lindsay, I mean, to be fair, Lindsay and Josh were terrible together, toxic, but it would have been nice to have at least one of them fulfill their dream of having that whole bed and breakfast kind of scenario. That would have been nice to see, because the idea was pretty cool. And yeah, I think yeah, that those for me were the two defining things. I think from the best, yeah, Ashley, yeah, she'll be like thanking her stars. She's really prayed for this. She's like, I've sacrificed my ovary, but that was a sacrifice I don't mind making because this is the life I'm gonna live from now on. Uh, and yeah, I think and the other worst ones were probably like, yeah, Austin is just like, oh shit, I made a huge mistake. I mean, probably the worst one is also Eunice.
Actually, it's like the insurance in itself was everything that she dreamed of. So that was more than enough.
Yeah, she gets the insurance, she gets everything, and um, yeah, I think for Austin, I mean, the worst could also be Eunice. We don't know where she is, and she's
I think
obviously
Eunice is gone.
she's
I
gone, right?
think
There's no way
she's
that
gone.
she's escaping.
No way.
Her
Chairwoman,
only way out was I mean, sorry, Austin
the
giving her
proof.
the chip, and
Austin.
yeah,
Yeah.
the fact
There's
that
no way she gets out of Seoul, so she's stuck there, and
I
like
mean,
over time, it's
with
like she would have found her for sure, Eunice. So, and you never know. Maybe like he handed over the device as well. You don't know how spiteful he was. Like, oh, I just had a call with her like 5 minutes ago.
she's with
he
them.
Maybe you can track her through this. That's
buy
how
out
spiteful
buy out
Austin
the
was.
detectives.
She
Yeah, you
didn't
can.
tell. She didn't say "I love you." I said it so many times. She just couldn't say it. She just felt, "You know how I feel." Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So
She was also very smart, though. The way she kind of says that, "You know how I feel."
of
It's
course.
very cool.
But I
Yeah,
think with her, it's hilarious. People defect from North Korea to South Korea. Here, it's simply the other way around. She'd be like begging to go to North Korea because she'd probably be under a less persecuted, like I don't know, less of a tyrant there. But yeah, there's no way she's getting off that island. There's absolutely no way. And yeah, you're right. I think Austin could have just been like, here, I'm giving her up as well. She's with these detectives. Go bribe them. They give her to you. Do whatever you want to. Um,
yeah.
yeah. So I guess with that being, I mean, yeah. For all you know, she would have done the. She would have taken the Dr. Kim way out
Mm.
after she realizes that the SD card wasn't coming to her. But I guess with that being said, that is our review and discussion for Beef Season 2. It is going to be interesting now to see. Of course, I'm guessing there will be a Season 3 at some point. I did love also the title art that they had for each episode. It's quite intriguing because it showed the sort of the descent to madness, I suppose, and each one's dilemma as
So
well.
the first season, is that something that can be revisited at some point if they want to, kind of,
No,
or is it
I
like
don't.
closed out?
Yeah, I think it's closed. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah,
It. I mean, you could bring it out, but it's like, why would you want to?
yeah. It's the same with this. Like everything is closed off, but if they really want to revisit it, they
I mean,
kind of can.
the whole idea about beef is you're going to have arguments. So you could just have a new argument with somebody else and call it beef, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing there. And so
It could be Return of Josh.
Mm.
yeah, he's come with a vengeance now with golf clubs, a thing or two. I mean, he supplied the nail cutters and cigarettes. Who's to say that somebody else didn't supply him with other weaponry?
Maybe Ashley is now embezzling from the club herself. Who knows? That's like the next part for her storyline.
Yeah. All right. So I guess with that being said, we will catch you all on our next episode. Don't forget to hit the like button, share with friends and family, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can catch us on Instagram and Facebook as well. And do let us know if there's anything that we either missed, you thought would be that you wanted to discuss about Beef Season 2, or any other TV show or movies you think we should get to, because obviously we're open for suggestions as well eventually. And I guess we will catch you all on the next episode. Until then, see ya. Beef.